It is always great catching up with my next guest, Curtis Blaydes, the number 4 ranked heavyweight. Curtis, how's it going, man? How's everything?
I'm doing good, man. How are you doing?
I'm doing well. Had to get an update to see what you've been up to. You were telling me you got COVID again, man. How it didn't sound like the symptoms were too bad, but this is the third time you said?
Yeah, this is my third time. I think the first time I got it was a few weeks before I fought Junior Dos Santos. That's why I had abs that fight. So, and then the second time, everyone else knows about that one. That's when the Derrick Lewis fight got canceled, and then the most recent one was I caught it that Friday of New Year's Eve. So that's how I brought in the New Year. I was in bed with the fatigue and the body aches and all that, but it only lasted just the weekend. I was all right by Monday evening.
Yeah.
So each time the first time it hit me hard for like 8 or 9 days. The second time was like 4 or 5. This time was just two, 2.5 days. So I guess if I ever do get it again, maybe it just be a day. I don't know. But
Yeah, or you're just really unlucky, man. That's sorry to hear that, man. That's crazy. Now, were you back home in Chicago for the holidays, or did you stay in Denver?
no, I was out here in Denver.
Okay.
I went home for Thanksgiving, and I didn't feel like getting back on the airplane, so I just stayed here.
Yeah, for sure. And I've been trying to kind of follow along on social media, what you've been up to. Maybe am I wrong here? You've been a little inactive on social media. Just, I know there's a lot going on during the holidays, and I'm sure you don't want to be posting when you have COVID, but is that kind of by design, just to kind of focus on other things?
It was just needed a little hiatus, a little break from social media. Like I don't want to sound like spoiled or nothing, but sometimes you just need a break. You just
Yeah, smart, man.
don't feel like speaking. But I just recently got back on, so it was about a month. I took a solid month break, but I'll be back for the remainder. I don't think I'll be needing another break anytime soon.
For sure. So we talked all about COVID off the top. Any idea when you're looking to return to the cage? I know it's the new year now. You're one of the heavyweights that's ranked that doesn't have an opponent. Anything in the works? Or we should start first with, when are you looking to get back in there? When would be the ideal time for you?
I mean, I would have been fine getting back in there January, February, but that's not going to happen. After speaking with my manager, right now it's looking like April,
Okay.
but we don't know who yet. We still have to wait for the matchups, who wins, who loses, how do they lose, how do they win.
Okay.
So maybe even I get the loser of Ngannou Gane. I don't know.
Yeah, well, we'll have to see there. So yeah, because it's got to make sense, right? Because you're kind of in a weird spot. You're highly ranked, but you've fought a lot of the guys already, including the guy like Volkov who you beat. Like that doesn't make sense. So I guess just sort of waiting around and, like you said, just wait to see these matchups unfold. And I guess at this point, you get to kind of just sit back and watch the division play itself out, right?
Yeah, that's pretty much all I can do, and just I'm staying ready. I haven't really had a break from training. Well, except when I got COVID, that was a nice break. Though I didn't work out for like a week and a half, so that was nice. And my body healed up. But besides that, I've been in the gym, so I'm ready.
Also, we haven't spoken since Derrick Lewis fought Chris Daukaus. I mean, you fought Lewis. Were you expecting that result, or what were your
Yeah.
thoughts on how that fight unfolded?
When you give Derrick Lewis just another striker, a smaller striker at that, I'm not going to tell you I expected it to go down exactly like that, but something like that. Like I didn't think he was going to be able to put Derrick away. And you give Derrick Lewis 5 rounds at his pace, eventually he was going to find a window. He found it a lot earlier than I was expecting, but I kind of had an idea it was going to end like that.
Do you think it was too much of a step up for Daukaus, or do you think the matchmaking was on point? Because I think he was beating guys decisively, so it's kind of like, should he get a jump like that? Some people felt like maybe it was a bit early.
Yeah, I think he should have to be like a Volkov or a Jarginho, like someone, because Derek Lewis, Ngannou, and Stipe, we're all like upper echelon, and I guess we know now that that was that wasn't the matchup he needed at that time. I think he would have done better with a Volkov or a Jorginho. So hopefully he gets. I just seen they gave Eric Lewis Tuivasa, which was a surprise. I didn't think he would want that matchup, but maybe they give um, Daukaus. Maybe he gets the loser of what's the I can't remember the dude's name. I don't know. We'll just skip that. But
Oh no! You're talking. Well, are you talking Tom Aspinall? Because he's fighting, I think, Shamil. There's a couple interesting fights that are going on. Yeah.
Yeah. Maybe he gets the loser or the winner of that. I never know like how they.
Yeah,
want
no
to do
one
it.
knows, right? It seems like they have the
Off a loss.
rankings, wins or losses doesn't seem to matter, right? So there you go.
It's really
And
how you win.
not that you're the type of guy to sort of relish in things like this, but make you feel a little bit better when Lewis is knocking guys out. Because I mean, obviously the fight with you and him didn't go your way. Do you think that adds a bit more to your resume, just knowing that, hey, look, like Lewis is knocking everyone out?
No, yeah. I mean, I don't lose to bums, and he ain't a bum. I know
Yeah.
that. It's just I think stylistically, I should have won that fight. Like he won the one way he could win. I took a bad shot. He caught me, but otherwise, besides that, 'cause I've rewatched the fight. He lost that first round. He was on his way to losing that round, and I rushed it, paid the price. So that's always gonna annoy me because I do believe I know I lost, but I do believe I'm still better than Derrick Lewis. I think I have more more skills than him, more ways to win. Better athletically. He's really good at what he does, which is getting the knockout. He's really good at that.
Yeah. No, understandable. And you mentioned the Tuivasa matchup. Do you think Lewis wins that fight as well?
Yeah, this is the perfect guy for Derrick Lewis. A guy who's just gonna sprint in there with his jaw up, hands wide, and just they're gonna swing. They're gonna see who lands first. Now I could see Tuivasa winning. I wouldn't be like, oh, that's a crazy upset because Derrick Lewis is the beatable guy. It's just the danger is always there with him. Like he's a old school heavyweight where he legit only needs one strike. He doesn't have to have a lot of skill, which is why I don't think he ever really developed a lot of skill because you don't need it when you hit as hard as he does.
Yeah, no, understandable. One of the other reasons I wanted to get you on here is because we got next Saturday, the unification fight, Francis Ngannou, Ciryl Gane. Before I get your pick on that fight, what do you make of the contract negotiations with Ngannou and the UFC and his managers out there? Like a lot sort of going into this. Do you think that's a distraction for Francis ahead of the fight next Saturday?
It would be a distraction for me. I don't know because obviously we've never spoken, so I don't know anything about him personality wise. But I know if it were me, it would be a distraction. I wouldn't want to be handling this before a big fight. Like every fight for him was a big fight, and just having all these outside distractions, it can't help. I don't know if it's hurting, but it can't help.
Yeah, no, agree with that. So who's your pick? How do you think that fight plays out? Because Gane's undefeated. He's looked great. He knocked out Lewis, which I think people are a bit surprised by. Not that Gane won, but I don't think they expected him to finish Lewis. And then you've got Ngannou, who came off arguably the best performance of his career against Stipe. So how are you looking at this fight?
I'm going with Gane. He has a lot more ways to win. He's smart. He's not Tuivasa or Chris Daukaus. He knows that Derrick Lewis only has one way to win. That's if he engages in a brawl. He knows better than that. So I think he avoids the brawl just like he did with Derrick Lewis. This is almost like the same fight.
Yeah.
He stay outside, pick. He might even take him down. I know he's got a little bit of grappling in him. He might even go for the takedown. So I don't think he gets the finish. I think he wins by like dominant decision.
Okay. And what do you say? Because I know someone's going to say this, so I just have to ask anyways. What do you say to the critics that say, well, you lost to Ngannou, so of course you're going to pick Ciryl Gane?
No, that's stupid. What type of logic is that?
But you know people are. I'm just getting ahead of ourselves here, Curtis, because you know someone's going to say that.
I know. And to those people, I just say I'm looking at this fight just as a fight fan, as an educated MMA fan. I just believe that Ciryl Gane has a lot of skill sets. He moves really well. He uses a lot more weapons. He doesn't just Ngannou's just looking to land an overhand or uppercut.
Yeah.
Like, for him to go into a fight with just two weapons versus the guy with like 8 weapons, it's hard to pick the guy with 2 weapons. Even though they're very, very effective weapons, it's just hard. And also, their backstory. They've already sparred together who knows how many times. I don't think Gane's going to have that same, like, he's going to respect the power, but I don't think he's going to have that hesitancy, like, I don't want to get in this. He knows what area is, like, the danger zone and what's just outside of the danger zone. So I think he'll be a little more aggressive, and I don't think Ngannou, he's not used to other guys being the aggressor. He's used to always being the one to step forward. I don't think I've ever seen him go backwards. So I think Gane's going to be able to outsmart him.
Okay. I like the assessment. Since you fought both guys, I have to ask, who hits harder, Derrick Lewis or Francis Ngannou?
But Derrick, obviously, I've never been put to sleep. He put me to sleep, so going to have to give it to him.
Yeah, and I got to mention that too, because people are like, well, you've been knocked out twice by Ngannou, but you weren't out cold. The only time you've ever been out cold was Lewis, right? I wanted to confirm that because a lot of fans get that wrong, right?
No, that's exactly. When we fought the first time, I was a doctor stoppage. I was not out, but I guess it goes down as a TKO. And then in Beijing, again, he dropped me twice in rapid succession, and then the referee jumped in, but I was aware. I remember everything. When Derrick Lewis, he knocked me out, I woke up in the ambulance. So there you go. That's a big difference.
Okay, fair enough. If Ngannou does win this fight, there's some people that say that he'd be one of the all-time great UFC heavyweights. Do you agree with that because Gane's undefeated?
No. That still goes to Stipe. And then even if you don't want to give it to Stipe, I give it to Velasquez. Like, Ngannou has not done enough, in my opinion, to be the greatest ever. He's very, very good, but when we're talking the GOAT, you have to start to nitpick, and I'm a nitpick. He's lost rounds. Like, he got owned when he fought Stipe the first time. That wasn't a good look. Like, he got owned. I've never seen, even when Stipe, when he lost, he never got owned. Like, he got knocked out by Ngannou. At heavyweight, anyone can get knocked out. I'm a lot more impressed by decisions. I know that's weird to say, like, a unanimous decision is more impressive than a knockout, but at heavyweight, anybody can get knockouts. That's just what heavyweights do. But for you to skillfully beat a guy for 5 rounds, that's very impressive. And I've yet to see Ngannou do that. He hasn't had to do that yet, but I don't think he has that ability. I don't think he wants to be in the octagon for 5 rounds. I think he knows that's not how he wins, and I don't think he doesn't spar like that. He doesn't train like that. He wants to get in and get out. So I think that's a double-edged blade. Like, sometimes it works out to go in there with that mindset, and other times it doesn't. And I think in this next matchup against Gane's going to be prepared to go for 5 rounds. He looks like he has the condition. Well, no, he's already proven he has the conditioning to bounce around, like the way he bounces around for 5 rounds.
Yeah.
I think if he gets out of the 3rd, I think it's over for Gane.
Okay, there we go. I don't think I've ever asked you this before. Where do you have Fedor Emelianenko on your all-time great heavyweights? Because a lot of people say he's the greatest of all time.
He's almost in that Demetrius Johnson type of. I look at him the same way. Like, he owned guys, but how good were the guys he was beating back then? I know he won a lot in a row, like 18 or 20 in a row, which is impressive regardless. It's a fight. Anything can happen. It's heavyweight. But the level of competition of those guys he was beating, I don't know, because I didn't get into MMA until 2009. And that was after. He wasn't even in the prime no more. He was old then. So
yeah, you saw the Strike Force Fedor. You didn't see the Pride Fedor, right? Because I know someone's going to say this, and I'll bring it up too. Like, he fought at the time when Fedor was in his prime. He was fighting the best heavyweights in the world. Like, the UFC didn't have the best heavyweights. They had Tim Sylvia. Nothing against Tim, but Pride had Verdun and all these guys, Crow Cop. And the other thing that people give Fedor credit for is Those guys were probably on steroids, right? In Japan,
Yeah.
I mean, they weren't doing any testing. So that's why I think Fedor gets the nod there as well. And you can tell he was not on steroids. I mean, he looks,
Yeah.
he doesn't have the greatest physique, no offense, but he was getting the wins, right?
That's a good way to even it out, because those guys were definitely on the stuff. And I don't think he was. I don't think he was on the stuff. So
no, if he did, it didn't work. He didn't look like it, right? So yeah,
I think in the hierarchy, for me, just all heavyweights, I would still put Stipe Velasquez or maybe Stipe Fedor. But either way, I still give it to Stipe.
Okay. Yeah, fair enough. I like that. Speaking of Stipe, do you think he gets the winner of this fight?
Yes, I do. I think if that's what I would do. I think he deserves it. I think it's probably how he wants to go out. Like, how many more does he have in him? He's like almost 40. Just had a little girl. He has a real job on the side, a wife and stuff. Who knows how much longer he wants to do this. So he probably would like to go out with like a super fight. And I think he's earned it. Just like DC earned a super fight, I think Stipe has earned a super fight. Or if he wants to fight Jon, whoever, I think it should be up to Stipe. Like, if he wants the winner, you can have the winner. If you want Jon, you can have Jon. Either way, it should be up to him.
Okay, I like that. Okay, last Francis question. I don't want this whole interview to be about Francis, but because there's a lot going on in the news. There's also talk about him wanting to box Tyson Fury. Do you think that ever happens? What are your thoughts on his boxing aspirations?
If I were him, I would do it. You're gonna make a lot more. Like, that's just business. I'm not talking smack about fighter pay skill, but everyone knows in boxing, one boxing fight can equal the entire. That can equal a 15-year UFC career. One boxing match. So I would do it. I would go get the bag. Like, that's what we are. We're prize fighters, and if there's a prize out there, they're offering a few million. Why wouldn't you? So I don't know I don't know like the likeliness of it, but if McGregor can do it, why can't Francis?
Well, that's the thing. People say that, because McGregor's McGregor. I mean, Ngannou's a popular guy in our sport, but, globally, is he the same sort of thing? Is that an interest even for boxing fans? I don't know. So I guess we'll have to find out how this fight goes. And it'll be interesting with the UFC, because if Francis loses, what happens? Like, do they, because he's on the last fight of his deal. So there's a lot at stake with this fight. So that's why it's a pretty important fight.
I think if he loses, I think he leaves the UFC for sure, because they're not gonna give him the money he's gonna ask for. Like, if you're coming off a loss and you've already had all this beef and all this tension, they're definitely not going to give you what you're looking for. So
yeah, absolutely. I mentioned Jon Jones there. We talked about Jon Jones there. Who do you think is the worst stylistic matchup for Jon at heavyweight?
Stylistically, honestly, I think it's me, because I'm going to involve the grappling. I'm not saying I'm the best matchup, but I think I'm offering more different looks. Like when he goes against an Ngannou or a Stipe or Gane or Derrick Lewis, he knows they're all just going to strike with him. He knows that.
Yeah.
And he knows if he stays on the outside, which he's very good at, people they don't know how to get past that long reach of his. The best way to get past it is to get into the clinch. But these guys don't want it. Derrick Lewis doesn't want to. He don't want to clinch. And Ngannou doesn't want to clinch. They're looking for the knockout. He's not going to give you the opportunity from distance to knock him out. So I think if he went against those guys, he just pick them apart from the outside. Me, he's gonna have to worry about every time he throws a leg kick, am I going to grab it? He's going to be a little more hesitant. Everyone does that. Whenever I fight anyone like Volkov Jr., even Jorginho, we always expect them, like when we're doing the game planning, we always expect them to be a lot more aggressive, and they're not, because we always forget they don't want to get taken down. Like, it happens every time. Like, we always, like with Jorginho, we were expecting a lot more of kickboxing. He didn't throw one kick.
Yeah.
So I think having to go against me, it changes how guys fight.
Someone that we both know, and I interviewed him maybe a few months back, but you still keep in touch with Dominick Reyes. I know he moved to Vegas and he's training at Extreme Couture now. What's the latest with him? Have you spoken to him recently?
Yeah, he just responded to one of my memes I posted on IG.
There you go.
We haven't
That's when you
discussed.
have a good friendship, is when you can respond to the memes, right? So
Yeah, we we haven't discussed any like MMA stuff. I know he's enjoying his time out in Vegas, and he only lives like a hour and a half away from where he grew up in Hesperia. So it's like he gets to go home, but he has a solid gym now. I think this is great for him because this is
yeah.
one of the things I always wanted because I knew he was working out like he was like the big fish in a small pond, and once you get to a certain like um, um, level, you need to be constantly pushed. I wanted him to join us here at Elevation, but he found he liked the gym out in Vegas, which is all right. I can still go out there, hang out with him. We can get some rounds in. But yeah, I think he's doing good, and I wonder who they give him next because he's in a
Yeah, I
weird
know.
spot. Right?
He's still waiting out there. Yeah, we'll have to see what happens because it's been a while. He hasn't fought since the Uri fight, so we'll have to see what happens there. Got to get your thoughts on the Chicago Bears finally firing their head coach. Just your reaction to that. You're a big Bears fan, right?
Happy. Yes, I'm a very big Bears fan. I'm very happy. And I hope we get the guy the Dolphins just released.
Oh
Brian
yeah. That was
Flores.
interesting. Them getting rid of him. So
I didn't think they'd do that. I think that was a mistake. I think that's why the Dolphins are the Dolphins because they make bad decisions like that. That's
yeah,
also one of the reasons the Bears have been the Bears is we haven't been making the best decisions. But I
yeah.
think if we hire a guy like that, that's a step in the right direction. And our defense is already legit. He would just make the defense that much more legit, and then we just gotta hope that Justin Fields he continues to grow and he ends up being that guy.
What's going on with the Night Lodge? You still doing that? Or are you playing video games still? What's the latest on that?
Yeah, we're gonna get back into that. It was just a lot of personal stuff from like the end from right after I had my fight, so beginning of October all the way into the new year. Just been a lot of turnover, a lot of having to run around and displacement and stuff. So we're gonna get back into that. I just needed a few months to get everything straight on my end
Yeah,
because
yeah,
Ahmed
it's
he's
tough.
been hitting me up a lot. He definitely wants
Okay.
to get back into it.
Yeah, are you still gaming right now? Are you playing anything?
Yeah, still playing the same old games. Still playing Madden and Star Wars. Those are my games right now.
Okay, last question. Got to ask this from one dad to another. How's your daughter doing?
She's doing great. She's in school now. She loves school, and ever since she started school, her speech is just like jumped. Like she talks. So we can have a conversation. I can ask her how are you doing and all that. Like I love it. I knew
Yeah.
school was going to be the best thing for her. I'm very happy that she's flourishing.
And I'm always happy when I get to talk to you, Curtis. Always appreciate the time, man. I know we went over today, but we had a lot to catch up on, right? There was a lot to
Yeah.
get to. If there's anyone you want to thank, any sponsors, any social media you want to plug, I'll give you the last word.
I always want to give a shout out to my Team Elevation, my management, Vayner Sports, and don't have any new sponsors at the moment. Always looking for sponsors. If anyone's looking to reach out to me, you can reach me at Razorblades 265. That's my IG and my Twitter handle.